Hey guys, welcome back to Blind Strike Exotics. I'm John, and today I wanted to do a video about the different size ball pythons. Basically, what it looks like when you have something that's a hatchling. She's about 130 grams or so, up to the biggest ball python I have, which is Princess, and she's upwards of 4,000 grams. So I'm going to weigh these as I go to let you know, okay, this is what the hatchling is, and this is what the next size up is. And I will keep this beautiful blue-eyed Lucy here out here for comparison for each different size and sort of what you can expect when you have a new snake, when your snake is 6 months old, when your snake is 1 year old, 2, 3, 4, and everything like that. So let's jump into the video. We'll zoom in down here on the table so you can see the snakes, and we will start off with this hatchling here. Alright, so this is a hatchling, well, close to it. It's about a month old. It's had 3 or 4 meals at this point. So it's a little bigger than a hatchling. He's 130 grams. Hatchlings, an average size hatchling I would say might be 70 to 80 grams. So this is a little bigger than that, but it's still indicative of sort of how big a hatchling is. This is a blue-eyed Lucy. I think it's a Mystic Crystal Blackhead Phantom, and it's actually for sale right now. But as you can see here, fits in your hand pretty nicely. Nice kind of pocket-sized snake, and you'll see the difference as we go through the different sizes here, how big these get and how quickly that happens too. All right, now we have our Urban Camo here, who, shameless plug, is also for sale. She was born in late September, early October, so she's about 6 months old or so. She was only eating small mice for a while, so she's actually a slow grower, and I'll show you actually kind of what happens, between a slow grower and one that eats bigger food pretty quickly. She's about 250 grams, so she's roughly about double the weight of this hatchling over here. As you can see, their bodies aren't a whole lot different in terms of size. She's just a lot heavier. So as she's taking these bigger meals now, she's starting to take nicer sized, kind of like rat crawlers at this point. As she's starting to take these bigger meals, she's actually starting to put on weight a lot quicker. So you'll see once your snakes start eating bigger prey that they actually start putting on weight quicker and they start growing a lot faster, which is what our next step is going to be here. I'll bring in another snake who's roughly the same age as this Urban Camo that started eating bigger prey almost immediately and show you the size difference between a hatchling, a slow grower, and somebody who has been eating nice sized meals since hatching. Alright, now this is my Super OD pied combo male that I got from Aussie, and he was born in either July or August, and he's about 550 grams. So he's double the size of this Urban Camo because he has been readily taking frozen thawed in large meals. He's actually up to small rats at this point, the small rats, and he's eating frozen thawed every week. So there's about a month and a half difference between this Urban Camo and the Super Orange Dream pied, and he is double the size of her already. And you mainly see that when they start eating bigger prey. I don't power feed my snakes. These guys, even hatchlings, eat once a week. But I do try to push the prey size. I don't, feed them something so large it's going to make them sick or get them, off of food for a month because it's so large, or make them kind of regurgitate it because it's too big. But as long as you're feeding them something that's, kind of pushing the limit of kind of what the thickest part of their body is, right here towards right in the middle section of their body, they're going to be fine in terms of, what they're actually taking down. And if they can't fit it in their mouth, they won't eat it. I've had snakes where I've given them something too large and they just won't take it. But a guy that's eating well and eating weekly, whether in shed or not, and taking nice sized meals, will get bit pretty quick. So he's, I would say, probably 8 months old at this point, and he's 550 grams. As soon as he hits, he's not producing sperm plugs yet, but he will be breeding assumingly soon, especially now that he's eating small rats. He'll start growing rapidly. And now that she's eating bigger meals, she will be too. But this is the difference, this is a month old and this is 8 months. That's how big these snakes get within a half a year or so. Now this guy here, who actually I also got from Aussie, it's an ultramale het pied Firefly OD leopard. He is about 675 grams. He is, I think, about 11 months old. He actually started breeding and went off food a little bit, so I've actually tried to slow down his breeding process just to see if I can get some more food in him. But this is almost a year old, just right about a year old, and very close to 700 grams. He probably was 700 grams before he started breeding. He probably lost a couple grams, during the breeding process, but, you're looking at basically your snake growing 5 to 6 times its initial weight from the time it's born. Well, if he's close to 700 and this was 100 when it was born, or when it hatched, then, maybe 7 times the size within a year is what you're looking at your snake growing up to. Alright, now this is my clown leopard super pastel yellow belly male Joker, and he's almost at 1,000 grams even. He was born, I think, at the end of 2020, so he's a little over a year old, and he was off food for a little bit, probably around 700 grams, but he started eating again, and he's eating all the time, and he's actually breeding at this point too, and he's still eating. He's roughly 9 times the size of the hatchling here, so you're looking at a little over a year old, and your snake is going to grow 9 times its size if it's eating on a regular basis. As you can see, he's a good sized male. He's 1,000 grams. He's still going to keep growing because he's still eating food like a little piggo. Year and a half old, and like a nice even 1,000 gram male. So that's the difference between a hatchling and somebody who's a little over a year old. Now we're gonna kind of get away from age at this point and focus more on weight, because you can't really expect your snake to grow at a certain rate. It's really going to depend on what you're feeding them, how often they're eating, and a lot of other factors like that. But this female here, she's a Pastelenchi clown. She's about 1,400 grams, so she's about 400 grams bigger than the last snake, with this snake being 130 grams. So she's about 10 times the size of this hatchling. This female, I think, is about 2 years old. Basically right at breeding size at this point. If you want to do it at the minimum size, you really want to try to breed them closer to 2,000 grams. But you can. I mean, I've actually bred a couple of 1,500 grams. They still laid 4 or 5 eggs. But this is a 1,400 gram female versus a 130 gram hatchling. Alright, and this is a 2,000 gram Orange Dream het pied female. This is probably a perfect size to breed a snake for the first time. They have a good body mass, and they could probably lay you a decent sized clutch of eggs. As soon as my Super OD pied male is ready to go, she's going to be one of the ones that he's getting bred to. She's almost exactly 2,000 grams, so this is 2,000 grams versus just over 100. I would say she's roughly 17 times the size of this hatchling. She's probably close to 3 years old. She's a really good eater, so she eats pretty much every week, pretty consistently. So I would say, 2.5, 3 years old, you could be looking at getting a snake probably up to this size. I know I had, I actually just recently sold her because I decided to get out of the project, but I had a highway female or freeway female that I got as a hatchling, and she was only a year and a half old, pushing 2,000 grams because she just ate all the time. But year and a half, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, you should be looking at a snake that's about this size here. Alright, and this is a Blue Eye Lucy female, not the mother of this snake, but an earlier clutch from last year. She's about 2,300 grams. She's not going to stay here, so she's a lesser, oh man, I actually can't remember, I think special lesser. Just FYI as a side note for you guys, if you get lesser in anything that's a Blue Eye Lucy, it's probably going to come out all white. But they have pretty blue eyes. So this is 2,300 grams, about 300 grams more than bigger than the last female we had up here. I actually think the next female up is actually going to be his mom, so I'm going to actually bring her up next. Now this is the Mystic Crystal. This is actually his mom. Now she obviously laid eggs a couple months ago. She only went back on food last month. So she has a lot of weight to gain back because she was, I think, 3,500 grams before she laid this clutch. So as you can see, she's actually pretty thin, but she's actually my second biggest snake behind Princess, you know, when her belly's full. So as you can see, I mean, she's a very big bodied snake, and once she starts getting weight back on, you know, she's going to be huge again. And she started eating pretty quickly, so she may be able to lay a clutch again next season. But so she's 2,300 grams. She's roughly the same size as the last female, 2,400 grams. Roughly the same size, but she's also a lot bigger of a snake, and she'll pack on the extra pounds. Now the next size up here is a 3,500 gram female. This is my Silver Streak female that laid my biggest clutch ever last year, which had all the urban camos in it. She laid over the summer, and she's already back up over her original lay weight because she's eating so well. So she's 3,500 grams, which is close to the upper end of what your ball pythons are going to get up to in terms of size. Princess is my next biggest one up. And I actually don't know her weight at this point because I've left her alone for a while. And she's been off food because I think she's gravid at this point. But you have a 130 gram hatchling here versus a 3,500 gram female who is just pounding food. You know, as you can see, you know, you have this tiny little snake here that you can wrap your fingers around. And she is so thick that I can't get my fingers around her right there. Alright, and this is Princess. She's my biggest female. She's about 4,000 grams, and she's not even at her max weight right now. She hasn't eaten in a few months because she has been mating, and I think she's finally gravid, as you can see by the size of her body. I think she was upward of 4,500 grams at her max weight. She's maybe only 4 years old, but she has never been bred, so she has basically just been eating for 4 years of her life and just keeps packing on weight. So I think she's actually gravid now, and I'm actually curious to see how much weight she loses when she does lay. But she is really close to the maximum size weight that you're going to get in a ball python. 4,000 grams is, you know, few and far between, especially the way some people breed their ball pythons. And I wish she would sit still. She's usually not anxious, but it might be because she's gravid, and I think I'm praying that she actually lays here in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, this is 100 grams versus 4,000 grams. Let me get this little baby back up here again to show you the difference on the scale, just how big they are. He's not, you know, any bigger than the smallest part of her neck. And just to give you guys a size reference in sort of a human scale on how big these snakes are, this is a hatchling, you know, really tiny, fits in the palm of your hand. And this is a 4,000 gram female that is just absolutely engulfing my body. She's big. I don't know what 4,000, I think 4,000 grams is close to 8 or 9 pounds. I think 8 pounds. So she's a big, heavy snake. They're not going to get much longer than this. I think she's over 5 feet long at this point. The last time there was a shed, I measured it out. But she's a princess, and she is just my docile kind of little baby. So I'm hoping she has a clutch for me here soon. But this is a baby, and this is a huge, gigantic female. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, seeing the different sizes from hatchling up to full-grown big old female. And subscribe and tune in next time.